time to move on to coach of the year, unless you have any problems with what I have.
Let's do it.
Who do you have? I think our coach of the year battle is going to end up being identical, if I had to guess.
I don't know about number 3, but I feel like the top 2 are obvious. Number 1 has to be Monty Williams, just because this Suns team
last year, by the way,
it's a machine. It is as close to a perfect basketball team when operating at full strength as you're going to find in today's NBA. Everything works. The pieces run so smoothly. The balancing job of Chris Paul's stardom and Devin Booker's emerging superstardom has been excellent. All the role players have been able to maximize what they can do when they're on the court. It feels like he is just the obvious favorite. I don't know if he's the most obvious winner of the awards because we haven't gotten to 6th man of the year yet, but he's pretty damn close. At number 2, I've got Taylor Jenkins, just another masterful job with the Memphis Grizzlies. Again, the ability to maximize every single piece of the roster. This team has not skipped a beat and sometimes has gotten even better without Ja Morant on the floor. So the ability to win with that superstar-driven offense and then also win with this collection of, I don't want to say role players, but players who do not enjoy that same celestial status has been nothing but impressive. This Memphis team is so good with so much floor spacing, with so much interior pressure. Everything works. Number 3 is tougher. I ultimately went with Ime Udoka. His in-season adjustments have been super, super impressive. The defensive schemes that he's drawn up that have fully unlocked a healthy version of Robert Williams III are remarkable. It's unorthodox switching that is all designed to keep Williams in an off-ball help role where he can always rotate over to be that second defender. The offensive schemes have been mostly egalitarian, even though Jason Tatum can be a ball-dominant player. The ability for this Celtics team to bounce back from a rough start during his first season as a head coach to become this full-fledged juggernaut during the second half of the season before Williams went down, hugely impressive.
Wow. So we do not have identical ballots. I had Monty Williams first for all you said, and I did pick Thibodeau last year. And I just think in retrospect, I know the Knicks were the biggest overachiever. When you go and look back, maybe this season taints it a little bit, but when you go and look back, there's a clear difference between overachieving versus like this team was actually maximized. And I think Monty Williams deserved it last year. He's a clear case this year. They've navigated absences from everybody on this team. Not as extensive as in some other cases, but Chris Paul, you lose him and everyone just assumed he was the heart and soul of the Suns, and you're still just good. You missed Devin Booker for a period of time. There's been weird stuff with the center rotation at points this season. The growth we've seen from DeAndre and the growth we've seen from Cam Johnson. Monty Williams and his coaching staff have done a fantastic job, and he's the clear choice. I have Erik Spoelstra number 2, because when you're talking about Taylor Jenkins, who is number 3 for me, I feel like that Thibodeau explanation is creeping in here, where the Grizzlies, to me, are still overachieving when you look at their personnel. The methods by which they've done it have been absolutely incredible, but there's nothing too complicated about their offense. It's get out and run, crash the offensive glass, and if you don't do that and Ja Morant isn't able to make a spectacular play, you are at a disadvantage. Credit a ton to the defense that they've come up with. He's 3rd on my ballot. Again, that's not an insult.
Erik Spoelstra is a close 4th on mine.
He's a machine himself, and the Heat have dealt with. You look at Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Kyle Lowry, they are not even a top 500 played trio this season. That's how much stuff the Heat have been dealing with. When you've seen the level of what PJ Tucker has brought, what Gabe Vincent until recently had done for Miami, even sort of empowering Tyler Hero, getting Duncan Robinson to work through his slump, or even finding workarounds because Duncan Robinson hasn't been as good. The Heat's half-court offense is definitely flimsy. That's also a personnel issue. And the fact that they've been able to find ways around this all season, they're just at the top of the Eastern Conference right now. They might not finish there, but no one predicted that at the start. Like, yes, could they come out of the East? Maybe, but you assumed it was going to be Brooklyn or Milwaukee. There was at this point in the season, could it be Chicago? They were going on a run. And just the sustainability of what Spoelstra does year in and year out, I do think that matters. And you were dealing with a pretty significant addition in Kyle Lowry. So I get why Ime Udoka is here. But like Spoelstra's case to me is more of a full season case than Boston's. When you just look at what the Celtics have done this year, where it literally took sort of a mid-season turnaround and late season surge for them to get to this point. The Heat and the Suns and the Grizzlies and their coaches, their staffs, it's been more of a wire to wire accomplishment to me.
I think that's fair. I would also, my only pushback with having Spoelstra that high is there's some fatigue in play there because he deserves to be a front runner each and every season. And, that shouldn't discredit his case each and every year, even if it makes it a little bit tougher to justify having him there in your head. And second, I think that ultimately the Heat's pieces are easier to coach up. There are a lot of absences, as you mentioned. There are a lot of really strong contributions from unheralded players. Kyle Lowry is an easy plug-and-play player because he does everything. The same is true of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo because versatility is the name of the game for them. With Boston, you don't have those same kind of pieces. Marcus Smart, by no means a guy you can just put into every situation. Robert Williams needed a pretty specialized role designed to maximize his abilities. Jason Tatum, still emerging as the star player that Jimmy Butler had already ascended to become. So I think even if it did take that midseason turnaround, the ability to get that team to that level through a lot of adversity during the early stage of the season as a first-year head coach, to me, that's a huge selling point.
If you looked at how many games their key players had lost, then
100%.
And that's a huge part of it for me, is that they were able to, yes, maybe their top end of their players might be easier to coach up. The conversation with Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum as the best player, that's a conversation now. But I think when you look at Bam and Kyle Lowry, both of them are better than Boston's second best player, Jaylen Brown. So I totally get that. But when you just look at how much time collectively, the Heat have missed, and then how shallow they were supposed to be, that's what swings it for me. And like I said, I was trying to.
The way I look at this one.
What's that?
The way I look at this one is Monty Williams is first, and then those other three names, I don't really care about the order.
And that's what gets tough about these awards as we moved into, we'll do 6 Men of the Year next. This award is not one of those cases, but you do sort of have to look at the bigger picture. And to me, at least, sometimes I struggle to not fall victim to recency bias based off what's happened over the past couple of months. And that's why, I have a litany of honorable mentions here for Coach of the Year, as you always do, that I won't go through. But yeah, Ime Udoka was certainly on there on the short list.